that time for that ice cream truck's here.
How can we still have 2 pages? For Dylan Israel, so with you cracking, right?
Yeah. Well, I got one for you and then one for the side chick.
Yeah.
Alright, alright, cool. So
Did you get it?
yes. Cool. Okay, so I can tell you what's wrong with it just by looking at it. So the problem that's going on here is you have a paragraph tag that's being nested incorrectly to start. So you see this p tag needs to go before the text.
I did that too.
That's alright. So that's the first thing. The second thing is you have this body tag that doesn't need to be here.
Yeah, that I did after. I was trying to figure something out.
And next, I want to see if it's being... Let's see if it's being hidden. So that's what's happening here. So because you didn't throw this paragraph into displaying, but it's hidden behind the header. So because you didn't throw the paragraph into a div or anything,
you said not to overdo it with the divs.
there is a difference between overdoing things with divs and just not using them. So in this case, let's go ahead and we'll have everything back up and running, right? We don't need the div. We don't want it. What we need to do, whoopsies, or shit, what was commented out? Was that commented out? No. So what we need to do here, let's run it. It'll be back to where it was at, right? Minus the div that we put in here.
How come my menu bar is jacked up?
I'm fixing it. 1 second. Alright. Is that better? That's what it was, right? So what you have to do, because this is absolute and it's fixed and everything, you can instead just go ahead and add some margin dash bottom. We'll try 20 pixels to start. And we'll run it. Is it pad? Am I getting this mistaken? It might be padding. Just bottom. We'll do 200 pixels. Save and run. I always get padding and margin confused. I think, yeah. So I had it right. You know what? She does have a very professional portfolio pic, doesn't she? I was thinking the same thing.
I tried to find my most professional one. I actually had a professional photographer take that for me. It was a friend, so it was free.
So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to push everything away from it there.
Would you not want to do it in that?
We could do it in the
paragraph.
We could.
Thing.
Oh, I see. We have margin 0. This might be interacting. So margin top, and we'll say minus 50 px.
Where did in and out come from?
Was it in and out?
Yeah, David's talking about in and out.
He's probably having lunch right now. It's lunchtime over there. It's about 2:30. But yeah, so what you can do is, and this is, you're seeing my weakness with CSS right now, is you can target this and you apply some style. So style is equal to margin, or padding, we'll do padding dash top 40px. Let's go ahead and run that, and now it shouldn't be. Oh my god, more? Yeah, she's going to be moving up. This is the last project fab that she's doing on CodePen, but she's going to be moving over. So you can see, all right, there. Now we have 100px. And then on here, we have a margin. Put that back to 0. Save and running. And then instead of 100px, we'll throw back to 50px. Cool. So what was hiding it was your menu. Now, say for some reason you wanted to go over, there's this thing called the z-index, which basically you can start putting layers on top of things.
That's what I was trying to. So it's called z-index.
If you want this to go on top of here, yeah.
But I want things to do that below.
Yeah. All right, cool. So, you understand where your issues were?
Mm-hmm.
All right, nice. Let's jump back into JavaScript. Milo. Milo's taking full advantage of the 100 days of code, baby. Okay, so what we're going to be talking about now are known as while loops. What that basically means is run this while the statement is still true. Run it until it's false, which can lead you into infinite loops if you're not careful. And what happens with the infinite loop is it never breaks, and then your browser crashes. And
sounds like something from Futurama.
Yeah, except it happens all the time. Alright, big boy. I know. You like to rub your dirty head on daddy's itchy finger. Alright, so we're going to create an array here. And let's look at the example here before I say too much more. So the while loop in this case is saying while I is less than 5, go ahead and add I to my array, and then iterate I. So when I is 5, it's no longer going to run, right? Because it's no longer a true statement. Now, where people might do an infinite loop is they forget to add the I to the I, and thus I is always less than 5, thus it always runs. Alright, so here we're going to create a while loop, and what we want to do is, instead of actually putting in 0 to 4, because let's say it's not just to 4, it's to 10,000, we'll have a while loop, and we'll say while, we'll create a variable of var I is equal to 0. I, typically, what this is saying, why it's I and not like any other number, is it's the iterator. That's where the I comes from. So it's item you're iterating on, the number you're iterating on. That's where I comes from in a lot of these. So we're saying while I is less than 5, and this could be any statement, it doesn't have to be a number like this. We want to take my array, and we want to push the value onto it. Now, do you remember what push does when talking about arrays?
Adds to the back end.
Yes, it adds to the end of the array. Greetings from the Philippines. Hey, Engineer Truth's doing a meetup in the Philippines. So basically making a counter. This is what we're doing right now. Yeah, we're adding it to the counter. Now, if we were to run this and we didn't put our I++, it would do it indefinitely. But we don't want to do that and crash the free CodeCamp browser. So instead, we're running. So now our array is from 0. No, let's not crash it. You'll crash it plenty on your own when you're doing this. We don't need to do it. I'll run here. So that was a while loop. While that statement is true, run it. Now there's things called for loop, where say we know how many times we want it to run, or we want it to run in a non-traditional manner.
Milo looks so majestic in this.
Yeah, he's like in the Let's see 'em. So all right. So the for loops are for loops start with three things, maybe. This is called the initialization. You're basically setting your variable here that you're going to iterate with. The next is the condition, which is this is what's going to break the for loop. And the next is for each iteration, how much does that value go up by 1 here, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that same statement here is doing the exact same as a while loop. Now, you'll use for loops significantly more than a while loop typically. So use the for loop to push arrays values 1 through 5 onto my array. So how would we change this if we wanted to only have the values of my array using a for loop? So we have our for loop. There's a couple different ways we can do this. But if it's starting with 1, you would think we'd start our variable at 1, right?
Or do we? Do we start it at 0?
You can do anything with code, but in this case I would start it with 1.
Why?
Because there's no reason to make it more complex. So pay attention. You're not paying fucking attention. I'll throw my ladder here if you're not gonna pay attention. Come here, buddy. You can lay in daddy's lap. Out of mama's attention span. She doesn't go near there. Alright. Alright, so we're saying while the number that we're iterating on, while the current iteration is less than 5, continue this. But we want 5 to be included, so there's two things we can do. We do less than 6, or we do less than or equal to 5. Doesn't really matter in this case, whichever one you want. And then go ahead and increase it by 1. So the array that we're going to have when we push to it is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Less or equal to 5 be more accurate than less than 6?
Less than or equal to 5? Would it be more accurate?
Yeah.
No, it's the same thing.
Not really.
Yeah, because if it's less than 5, it's only going to go up to 4. If
it's equal or less than 5.
I'm saying less than 5 goes up to 4. Less than or equal to goes up to 5, right? Less than 6 goes up to 5 as well.
Oh yeah, because it's not equal to 6.
Exactly, so it doesn't run. If your question is there a preferred way of doing it? I don't know.
Yeah, that's your answer.
I don't think it matters. So here we're gonna push to my array, right? We're gonna add these values, which is gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now we have all the values in the array we want. My array is not a function. It is not. You're right. Dot push. Cool. So you don't have to iterate by ones like we have been doing. Now, traditionally speaking, you probably are, but that doesn't mean that you always will. So you saw how we were iterating one at a time. That's only because we set how we were gonna the final, what they call the final expression. To be honest, I didn't even know what the hell this was called till a minute ago. So here, what this one is doing is we're starting at 0. We're saying when 0 is less than 10, and then we're saying at the end, go ahead and set. Remember what the plus equals means?
I vaguely remember, but I can't state it.
Well, you don't remember that. I plus equals 2 means I itself plus the number 2. So the value of I is equal to I plus 2. So that's what plus equals means. It's the value that you're setting, that value. And same thing with the minus and the multiplication and the division.
I'm so tired.
You want to go make yourself a coffee or take 5-hour energy? Because I'm going to get frustrated with you like this during our tutoring session, I'll be honest with you. I'd rather have you go make a coffee and take a 5-hour energy. I'll split it with you if you want. But you need to wake up. This is serious stuff.
I know that. I don't know why you want to do it when I'm tired.
Because it's almost 6. We do it today or we don't do it. So,
Alright.
So, do you? Why don't we go split a 5-hour energy?
No, it's too late.
No, it's only
6.
it'll only be 2.5 hours, and then it'll be like 8 o'clock.
This shit is making me tired.
Alright, can you turn the AC on if you're turning that off? Because it keeps me cool. And I got a Milo on me. I got a Milo. I got a Milo. A Mr. Milo.
That's my water.
I'll grab one for me then. Poor April, yes. Poor me, making sure she focused as much as the 11-year-old girl I used to tutor. Alright, so so in this case, what's going on with this for loop is it's actually adding even numbers.
Okay.
And we can see this because we start at 0 and then we're adding 2. So it's going to go, if we were to add it to the array, it would be 0, 2, 4, 6, 8.
10, 12.
No, it would stop at 10.
Oh.
Because of the...
Yeah.
So we want to do the same thing for odd numbers. We want to go 1 through 9. So if we want to go 1 through 9, what would we set our iterator at? Our starting iterator.
1 through 9?
Yeah.
1.
Good. And what is our
9.
less than 9? That's what you're saying?
No, it's gotta be 1 through 9.
So what do we say in I is?
10.
Good. And I plus plus. Or what are we saying too?
Plus.
Fantastic.
I don't like that sound.
Alright, so no, it's plus 2, because remember we only want to do odds. If we were increasing by 1, it would go 1, 2, 3,
Okay.
4. If it's up by 2, it's 1, 3, 5.
Yeah, 2.
7,
So it's 2.
9.
It's 2.
Plus equals 2. Right?
Yep.
And then we're going to what to the array?
Sorry, Jason.
We're going to push to the array.
What, 11-year-old?
I used to tutor an 11-year-old when I was in school and I really needed some money. It was good money. I got paid $50 an hour and a half, twice a week. So, you know, $150 a week when you're barely paying the bills, barely eating. I used to drive like an hour out of my way to go do it too. We needed the money though. That's for sure. Alright, so we can actually set it up to count backwards as well.
Cool.
What is your problem?
I'm engaging.
No, I don't know what you're doing. You're not engaging, though. Alright, so in the example here, we have our array, and we're starting off by setting I is equal to 10. And we're saying I is greater than 0. So while remember, we're evaluating this to be true. And we're saying while I is greater than 0, continue on. And then we are decrementing by 2, I by 2 each iteration. So what would our array here return when this for loop's complete?
So we're starting at 10.
Mm-hmm. So what would our array look like?
10, 11, 12.
None I remember because we're going backwards. We're minusing.
Oh, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6.
No. Because we're minusing by 2.
By 2. So, okay, so it's evens counting down.
Mm-hmm. So that's
10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 0.
no 0. Because we can't push 0 into it. Because 0 is not greater than 0. Alright, so now, let's do the same thing, except we want to do it for odds. So how are we setting up our for loop? We want to get 9, 7, 5, 3, 1. So what are we going to set I at?
10. Nine.
Good job. Because remember, we're doing odds now.
Yeah.
Alright, so I is equal to 9. And while I is greater than 0, I is equal, minus equals to 2. And so then we push to the array. Really, the point of this is showing you that you can go by as many numbers as you want, and you can go up or you can go down. Okay?
What would you use something like this for?
Say you wanted to auto-load the buttons into your calculator by running a for loop. So like a 1 through 9 you would have to put in there. Say you had something that needed to count to 10,000. You needed to run one line of code 10,000 times. Or 100 times.
Why would you need to run a line of code 10,000 times?
Because you're filtering something in your JSON object.
What would you filter?
Say the date was in the incorrect format, and it was not compatible because it was stored as a string and not a date object. So you would write a for loop that would convert that single line every time it existed. Or you wanted to add a number.
Well, why wouldn't you just refactor the code?
You could, but use a for loop for a lot of other things. So let's take our calculator for instance. The way that it's going to run through each of those indexes, that it's storing the numbers, right? So we're doing 1 plus 1 plus 4 times 3 minus 5 times 8. The way that it's going to do that is we're going to keep track of total in a for loop, and we're going to run for the length of that array. Remember the dot length property? So in this case, it'd be I is less than our calculation array dot length, and then for each iteration we want to just add those values together or run those calculations. So you use for loops all the time. So remember our functions, we write functions so that we can repeat them. We write for loops so that we can call them as much as we need sometimes, or we can run little bits of code almost like mini functions again and again and again.
Without calling it.
Well, you have to somewhere your for loop has to get called.
Yeah, but
it
the
may
4
be
times that it's going to loop, you don't need to call it those 4
Yeah,
times.
you don't need to like call the function 4 times. You just have to set it in the for loop that you're running it 4 times. Okay?
You ready, Dylan, to start a reality TV show called Dylan in April, Make a Portfolio?
God, could you imagine if 100 days in, we're just like super fucking... Like,
I'm ready.
We're like...
I'm ready to go all out on a fucking reality TV show. Bring the crazy.
I just couldn't imagine. Like, all of a sudden, like, the nation's watching the Hour of Code marathon, and then it's just like... It's just like, oh my god.
Behind the code. Get really
finally,
behind the code.
We finally hit the 100 days, and I'm like, thank God. But I'm like, but we're getting like 10,000 viewers, so I guess I should keep going. Like, it just drained out of my mind. Alright,
You guys get to watch all the pivot scenes of our daily lives. All those like hanger reality TV show gimmicks that they have, where it's like you see me throwing a fucking plate and you're like, what the hell? Wait till you see next week's.
It's like esports, but I actually make something useful. Yeah. Okay, so One common thing that you'll do is you'll iterate through the length of an array, because typically what happens is if you're doing something to a list, you're probably going to do it to the entire list.
Interesting.
And if you're not, you'll have an if statement to check to see if you should do it or not. But you need to check every value to do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Dylan. Does that make sense?
What?
Leave it alone! I'd pay for that. Yeah, I'd pay for the crazy.
Alright, so in this case, remember our array function dot length is no Zoo. She's not paying me, sadly, and my rate is not $70 an hour. It's $75, and I'm not being paid for it. So she technically owes me $850 right now for these 11 days of coding. Anyhow, I'm gonna let her slide on it, or 825. Excuse me, 825. At the end of 100 days of coding, she would have owed me $7,500 if she was a paying client.
7,500.
$75 an hour, 100 hours. But
Girlfriend discount,
yeah,
100%.
I would probably, if someone actually ordered 100 hours of my time like that, I would probably give them a discount down to $60 an hour. And so you probably realistically owe me $6,000.
With you. I've never heard of that before.
Okay, so you'll see right here a common way that you may run a for loop, which is you're going to run it for the entire iteration, the entire length of the array, and then you're going to set the total. So similar, like say we want to add the total for all our values, you would plus equals our total with our array, and you just run through each index. Remember, starting at index 0, which is why our variable starts here, pass it in, so that you're going to use the iterator you're going to use to access each index of the array, and then do something with it.
Okay.
Now, how would we declare and initialize? I'm thinking of going to a web dev office and asking if I can spend a few hours with them. What do you think? That's what I'm going to have April do. I'm going to have her, once we get her dev portfolio site up, I get her to start messing with GitHub and she starts playing around with JavaScript, I'm going to have her literally go in, introduce herself, drop off her resume, and say, hey, this is where I'm at, this is what I'm trying to do. Do you have any internships? Do you have any, anything like that? If anything opens up, will you please give me a call? I think just have your resume printed out, have your portfolio site up, have your speech ready to go, and ask if you can talk to somebody, a manager, and just introduce yourself. I don't think there's any harm in it, and a lot of good could come from it. Okay, anyhow, so declare and initialize a variable called total to 0. So we're going to declare this variable total here to 0. And what we want to do is we just want to add 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 using a for loop.
Okay, so add them or add them together?
Add them together.
Okay.
So we're going to start at the 0 index, and we're going to say, look, while that's less than the length of our array, or my array, excuse me, add those values. And we'll say, so we're going to say total plus equals, remember, total is equal to total plus whatever we're going to add on the other side, my r, and then we're passing in the current item that we're iterating on, or the current iteration, which is 0, that value. So what's going to happen is going to say total is equal to 2, total is equal to 2 plus 3, which is 5, 5 plus 4, which is 9, 9 plus 5, which is 6, what did I say, 9 plus 5, which is 14, and then 6, which is 20. That's what's happening for each iteration. And one way to get comfortable with this, and sometimes people get confused, is just drawing it out and seeing, writing by hand on the whiteboard each iteration so that you kind of visualize what's happening. All right, we're getting into the fun stuff. Multi-dimensional arrays with for loops. All right. Modify the multiply all function, and so that multiplies the product variable for each. So you can have a for loop within a for loop. So if the outer for loop is supposed to run 5 times, the inner for loop is supposed to run twice. It runs 10. There's 10 total iterations. Because it runs the outer one, which is on index 0, and then when it hits the inner one, it runs that twice, then it jumps back. Now the outer one's at index 1, and the inner one is at 0 again. It hits it, so index 1, then it goes twice, then it jumps out, and goes to the outer loop, which is index 2, hits it twice, 1, 2, and then again and again. So every time it hits the nested for loop, it resets that value. It runs once in the outer, runs all the code in the inner. In the scope, it's scope, so it hits the for loop, and then resets. So let's try working this out.
I understand what you're saying. Why the fuck does it do that?
Because that's how logically it would work.
Okay. Does not sound logical at all.
It does.
No.
It runs the way you're...
How is resetting itself once it's out and then goes back in?
Because it's a different index, you see.
Oh. Well, okay, that makes sense.
And every time you hit a for loop, it's setting that variable. When we set var I is equal to 0 in the for loop, if it were to go back to that for loop, it'd reset it to 0. So that's what's happening there. Is now we're going to have a var j is equal to 0 as our nested one. But every time we rerun our first for loop, and it hits that again, that nested for loop, it's going to reset that equal to 0, which is why it reruns. Now the top one doesn't, because it never hits that again. It just goes back to do the next iteration.
Mm.
Alright, so here, we're going to create a for loop. We're going to say var I is equal to 0, while I is less than our array that we're passing in dot length I plus plus. And what we want to do is we want to set product is equal to product times equal to, actually we have to nest this first. So we have our first array. So you see how we have a nested array?
Mm-hmm.
So array of an array. So the first one is to select both of them. So this would be index 0. This would be index 1. This would be index 2.
Okay, and we don't count the outside one that's holding all of them.
Correct. Which is where I got my brain a little retarded the other day.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. And so I'm sending you a bill.
Hey man, if after this I can afford to pay that bill, I fucking will.
Alright, so
not that you don't owe me a 3-year bill anyways.
3-year bill? Are you, see, this is you going stretching the truth.
I'm not stretching no truth.
Stretching the truth. You know what? Let's not start. I'm gonna forgive you for this. Alright, so
well, you kind of have to because it's the truth.
So, alright, so each one of these i's is the first index. So, but we want the actual value in the index. And for us to check that length, we are going to do another for loop. And what we're going to do is we're going to say var j is equal to 0. We don't want to do I. We want to do a different name of the iterator, because otherwise you'll create an infinite loop and you're going to keep resetting I. So that's why we use a different one. We're going to say while j is less than r. And what's going to happen here is we're going to pass in I and say dot length.
I'm pretty sure it's more than 3.
J plus plus. No. You know what? Just wrong, and I'm not going to argue with this about
It's 4.
Are you out of your mind? Out of your absolute mind. Anyhow. So, and then we're going to do our Stop getting me fucking riled up. You're getting me riled up with this bullshit.
It was 4 years, Dylan.
Alright, listen, pay attention. Stop. I know you're trying not to pay attention right now. I don't like it. So R, because it's a two-dimensional array, the first array is each one of these index i's. But we want to get the 1, and we want to get the 2, and we want to get the 3 and the 4, so we have to do another for loop for the length of that index. So R0 dot length would be 2. R1 dot length would be 2. R2 dot length would be 3. Okay. April will take a crack at it in about day 30 is when we're going to transition over. And then
Day 30.
Day 30.
He just thought this shit out right now. That's not even a for sure thing, so.
Day 30, she should have JavaScript under her belt, and I'm going to help her and answer questions. And that'll be more of a Q&A than a lecture-oriented. Okay, so we have the array nested within arrays.
What does that even mean?
Stop looking at the chat. Pay attention.
The glasses came off.
So now we have our logic. Now, so this R is each. You understand that this first R is this entire array, and then the Ri, we're saying for each index value or for each iteration I, we're passing that in. We're getting one of these, the index value.
Yeah, because you start at 0.
Yes. And now what we want to do is we want to multiply all the values that are in the array by using times equals, and then we're going to say R I, and remember two-dimensional array, J. So if this was 0, 1, what would the number be?
0.
No. No, it's not 0. What is R01?
See?
What is R01? Alright, so what's R0? Which index is it? Or which array is it?
It's this one.
Okay, now what
1,
is
2.
No, you're getting it confused. So once you select R0, it's this index. So what's index when I say R array 0 and then index 1, it's double, remember the double brackets? So what that really is 2.
2.
Yes. Do you get that?
Yeah. This is the easy part. That I get.
Okay. I'm not fucking not fucking bossy.
Yeah, he's bossy
No.
all the time, all day long.
I just want you dinner, okay?
So?
I want you dinner. A deluxe
Just
dinner.
because what you do or say doesn't cancel out any of what you do or say after doing something nice. That's a really bad psychological buildup. We should talk about this.
You're not gonna be around to talk about this. You fucking pushing me. Oh, all right.
Boop, 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 beep, boop, beep, boop.
Yeah. See, James Scott gets it. I know what fucking focus and work will get you. And I'm trying to get you to focus and do work. Anyhow, all right. So that was a two-dimensional array, and you can get these down as many as you want. So if it was 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional, 5-dimensional, you would have 5 loops iterating through each other again and again and again.
That's smooth moves.
Will you seriously take a serious?
I'm listening to you.
Okay. So
You can take it down to 5 loops again and again and again. See? Only 30 more minutes. I'm trying to focus. This is me trying to focus. I have to laugh, otherwise this gets boring. funny. That was a joke.
But you can stop if you're not going to pay attention.
I'm paying attention.
Alright, well...
I just repeated exactly what you just said to me.
Alright. No more chat. You've lost your privileges.
I can't see chat anymore, guys. I feel alone.
Alright. So.
Milo's here.
Hey, big boy. Alright, so lookup, profile lookup.
Oh yeah, I've been wondering what this is.
Alright, so let's start reading the instructions and see if we can figure out what to do. So we have an array called lookup profile. It takes in a name and a prop. And what we want to do is the function should check if a name is an actual contact and the given property prop is a property of that contact. Okay, so we have our contacts. So we're going to say, it's saying it needs to check or it needs to make sure that exists. So we want to say contacts. And then we're going to pass in name, which is Kira. Excuse me, no, I have it backwards. I'm going to say prop. So in this case, likes. So does that exist? Does the likes key value here exist? That's what we're saying here. So this is an array of objects. So we have to actually iterate through it first. See how it's an array? Each one of these is an index in the array.
Okay.
So we have 4 objects in the array. So what we could do here is for exactly what we learned a minute ago. Var I is equal to 0. We have to check all of them. We say var I is equal to 0. Well, I is less than contacts dot length, because we want to check every value in contacts I plus plus.
Okay.
That's our contacts array.
Okay.
And so we need to check. So the function should check if name is actual contact's first name, and if the property is a. Okay, so we're saying if the first thing we're checking is first name. That's what it was asking. So in this case, Akira would be true. So we have to say if contacts, and the way that we target each one is we pass in the number that we're currently at to find the index. Index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3 in this case. Piece by piece. And so what we're saying is if that exists and it's equal to the name prop.
This is index 0. 1, 2, 3.
Correct.
Okay.
And then we're saying using bracket notation here, checking if this name exists. If it does, the next thing we could do is another if statement. Function check if his name is actual contact's first name and the given prop is a property of that contact. We can do another if within it. We're nesting our ifs. So if that name exists, the next thing we want to check is if that contacts that current index and that prop is true. But for us to do that, because prop likes, for instance, is an array, oh, actually we don't have to do that. I thought we were going to have to do a second for loop. But if that exists, what we want to return is contacts by prop, and that should return the array. Does this exist? If it does, return it.
If it doesn't, then it should say no such contact or no such property.
Mm-hmm. And so if name does not correspond to any context, return no such contact.
Do you have to do a different return?
Do I have to do a different return? Let me see real quick. Yeah, we do. None of my fucking code worked. I fucked up on this one last time too. I'm not big on reading the instructions, so I have to. Let me reset this real quick. You know what? I'm like tilted right now. I don't want to do this. You have set me off a little bit.
I didn't. I'm sorry.
So we're actually at a good place where. Yeah, we're at a good place where we can answer some questions since you're on the restless side today. It's Friday, boys. I need to relax. You're right. I need to relax. Although somebody was over here purposely fucking with me. It's not funny. Don't be giving them the help. Alright, so we'll take questions today for a little bit longer than we normally did. So what are you working on today, baby? Without me.
Same. What else would I be working on? It's boring over here.
What's the end goal for April? I believe it's to get a job, right? And then she wants to build some of her own apps and things like that. But right now it's job. What do I know about Model View Controller? It's pretty much the fundamental design of Angular. And a lot of other languages. It's kind of how things work for the most part. Use the has on property. We will later. I've done all this before. I'm a little tired and cranky. I'll be honest. I'm a little cranky.
Why are you cranky?
I don't know. Just stressed. I'm tired.
I take care of you, baby.
I want to buy HTC Vive.
What is that?
It's the virtual reality headset and controllers and cameras. $700.
Ooh. The cheapest pet roll closet to you?
What did I get out of reading Rich Dad Poor Dad? What I really got out of it was that you need to invest at every continual investment into yourself and into your finances is what you should do, no matter your financial circumstances. So in my case, what I took out of it was that I needed to continually improve myself in software, and that I needed to continually improve myself in my finances, which is why I've been hesitant to do a video about how I invest and why I invest the way that I do. But currently I am up to 21% of my income being invested, and part of that means living below my means. And I hope to get that up to 50%. But I also invested myself time-wise, so every weekend, every day.
Part of the thinking of that is, I think, because so many people out there talk about all the stats that are like, oh, people know they should save, but they still don't. And the thing is like, everyone wants to live in the now and have everything they want now and blah, blah, blah. But the thing is at some point, you have to take a realistic question and be like, so when I'm 60, do I want to have money? Like, think about it, like, at an older age, whatever age you think you're going to be at, a point where you're not going to be at your peak performance and you're going to have to rely on your past for some type of income survival. At what point, do you decide that, okay, 10% is worth it?
I mean, I honestly, if I could give you guys one piece of advice, and in my video I talk about this, the thing I could tell you now is if you're 15, save 10% of every dollar. If you're 20, save 15%. If you're every year, starting at 18, I would say start at 10% saving and investing. Not just saving. Putting your money into the bank does nothing for you. Investing your money, every year add 1% on, and you'll be balling out of control. Which is what I want to be eventually, balling out of control. Now, I just want to be... I don't want to... No, I don't want to be balling out of control. What I want is to be financially independent. And so, one way of doing that is investing your money. Another way is starting a business, taking chances, investing time into yourself to better your skill set, to have money to invest. You can't invest shit if you don't have any money. We talked a little bit about me wanting to start my coding box. That, that could be a chance where I just waste $3,000, $4,000. But at least I know when I tried it, I went for something that's going to either make me some money down the road, is going to be a good project, could turn into something more. But sometimes you got to take those chances, and that $3,000 business chance could be something. That $3,000 business chance could translate into something more. Or it could be, a little bit of a hit. But the same goes with YouTube. You could spend time and energy doing it, and it could not pay off. But you have to make the best educated decision you can. David Yang says, I'm only asking because I work with a lot of former salesmen, and their negativity to investing in business doesn't translate into actionable decisions. Yeah.
I think you said it right there.
And Juan Alexander makes a good point that there's a lot of six-figure people out there living paycheck to paycheck, which is fucking insane. So...
Yeah.
I've
seen it.
Yeah.
Firsthand.
Yeah, I mean,
it's stupid crazy.
And that's what's strange, right? Is that my salary is only going up as a developer, and I don't plan on increasing my... Like, we're moving into a bigger place, and I spent probably a month and a half trying to find a better, bigger place, and my rent went up $50, a very small amount. Now, I could afford a place that would actually double our rent right now. But we'd be living paycheck to paycheck, wouldn't be investing, all that sort of stuff. Not the best decision you can make. And as James Scott says, never seen a millionaire with only one income. Also a great point. So you diversify your incomes and you make yourself, one, not dependent on an employer, and two, if one takes a hit, you got 5 others. But living paycheck to paycheck after you're making more than $50,000, $60,000, the average family in America makes something like $54,000. That's the family. That's the 2 kids you have working and the husband and the wife. That's the average family in America, $54,000. So if you're making above that, you should be saving money.
And the pet YouTube with it.
Yeah. Mom and Dad. But I would highly encourage you guys to invest in various ways, and
various ways are stocks or what's the other one?
Peer-to-peer lending.
Peer-to-peer lending. There's also
investing your time, right? Say you're knowledgeable about something, make a YouTube channel. You're investing your time to get a return. And my time is, I charge for my time, right? I charge $75 an hour. And the only reason I can do that is because people value my time to a degree. And and someone's willing to pay me that. My hourly money that I charge is correlated with my experience and my worth. And you can have a YouTube channel and get some value for your time putting into the channel and get a return on that.
Yeah, mutual funds is a good one.
How can I get...
Some people use healthcare plans to actually grow their money because it's a guaranteed growth between 3 and 5%. So there's other creative ways you can use things to help grow your money as well.
Bizarre Blast says, how can I get people to invest in an app I have or a website? Well, turn a profit. Turn a profit and prove the concept, and it won't be that hard. There's venture capitalist firms, so if you really have a good idea, don't let it be an idea. Start it, get it up and running, even if it's not your picture perfect version.
That's why I'm initially learning code. I'm just kidding. That's kind of like my drive right there, Bizarre, is that I have an app in mind, and I just keep thinking of that app in my head that I want to actualize this app, and I want to put it out there, and I want to see it just fucking explode. That would be my dream. Sorry, go ahead.
No.
I'll just sell liver on the black market. Yeah. My liver. But I mean, if you need to find out like people to get involved, I mean,
a lot. So my one concern with what you're saying is a lot of people wait for other people to deliver their dreams to them, and it doesn't work like that. It just doesn't.
Sadly.
You have to. Sadly.
Yeah. If someone could just hand me my dream on a platter, do you know how fucking grateful I would be? Oh my God, I'd be like worshiping their feet.
Oh yeah. What'd you say?
Yeah. I don't care how gross I would have to get to say thank you.
Oh my God. Don't be saying that.
I'm just saying, I'd be eternally grateful.
No. I'll put you in the corner or something. Gross like that.
Whoa, it's not being gross. You took that to a whole new level.
You said worshiping their deed.
No, I didn't.
Oh, that's what I heard.
I did not say that.
Oh, what'd you say?
I don't remember, but I didn't say that.
Oh, well, that's what I heard.
I told you. You took it to a whole new level.
Yeah, I don't even know how we got started on this topic.
Oh, yeah, you said you can't wait for someone to hand you a dream, and I was like, man, if someone handed me my dream.
Hey, Milo. What's up, buddy? What's up, buddy? Oh. You coming to hang out? Come here, buddy. Come here. Come hang out with Daddy. Come on, big boy. It's on tape now. Check the replay. I will, man. Oh, big boy. Yeah, it's interesting because I've tried to. I have a lot of younger audiences that are like into this whole Ty Lopez thing, and like people who are making money by just saying they have money, and then they get money. And then it's like, oh man, this guy's genius.
That reminds me of The Secret. You just think it into reality.
The Secret, if you take The Secret, it's not you think it into reality, you focus on it. I actually am a fan of The Secret, believe it or not.
I'm a fan too. I just think it's funny because some people really take it to this like weird place, and I just think it's funny.
But yeah, so you got to be careful that you're not following a scam artist or anything like that. And I mean, there's a difference between chasing your dream and then just paying money thinking you're gonna get money by perpetuating a lifestyle you don't actually live, which is unfortunate. The real question is, which is the best McDonald's burger? It is, of course, the steak, egg, and cheese bagel at breakfast. That is the best burger they have. Hey, big boy. So Ty Lopez is a good marketer. He came up with a great marketing idea. Now he sells speeches and books and things like that, and affiliate links and.
Would he scam everyone into thinking he was a billionaire?
Sort of, yeah. Do I watch John Sonmez? Yes, I do. I don't watch every video. A lot of his videos lately have. A lot of his videos.
Yes, he does. And it's not exactly a car.
A lot of John's videos lately haven't been too software oriented. They've been more lifestyle oriented. So they haven't been as appealing to me. Although I do watch them on occasion when I see. John uploads a lot of videos, guys. We all know this, and it's hard to stay up to date on John's videos. I'll show you guys my dream car.
Is that really the name of it? Oh my god, that's the name of
That's
it.
one of them. So, my dream car for somebody who wants it is I'm not really I'm not like an over-the-top sort of I need to have a nice car, but like the car I would have that's nice and slightly out of my range would be this car right here. It's a 3-wheel. It's called the Raptor. They have a couple different ones. This one's the BMW one. This one's out of my price range. But one of the 3-wheeler cars, I think the Spider is the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I think that's the one you're looking for.
Which is about 20. No, that's not it. It's a 3-wheeler, sort of car slash. Here it is right here. So this is what I would get. It's a 3-wheel, the Polaris Slingshot. This thing's dope, man. It's only 20 grand. Yeah, the Slingshot is what I was thinking. 20 grand. This would be, if I was going to treat myself, if April left me today, I'd go out and buy this car.
He would need to.
I'd go out and buy this car to make myself feel better.
He would have to.
I'd go against all my advice of investing and living below your means, and I'd instantly take a $600 a month car payment.
That's the kind of hit I got.
Yeah. And I'd go treat myself to a slur.
Destroy the world right here.
This would be the car I would get, though. This thing's dope, man. Look at this.
He loves this thing. Every time we drive by one, he's like, look!
Look at that, boys. Come on, you know that's dope.
I would love to deck this out in like some type of superhero theme. Like Batman would be the easiest one to go with, you know? Just saying, but maybe get a little creative. I actually saw a pair of these being driven down the highway when I was driving from California to Florida, and I was just thinking, how could you make that drive in one of those things? Oh my gosh.
You take it through the wash like that? Look at that. So I'm in Florida, and you do see a lot of them. I saw a few in LA, which is a beach city also. But this would be the car that I would get if I wanted to, my quote-unquote dream car. I don't really need a nice car, guys. Anyhow, that'd be the dream car if I was ever to treat myself to something extravagant, I suppose. With that being said, guys, I appreciate you watching. I'm sorry if I was a little bit frustrated earlier.
A little bit.
We know who's at fault for that.
Yeah, we do.
I'm glad we
It's
agree.
good that you can own up to your indiscretions there, baby. You become a real big man.
No,
Yeah, you're real big.
Nope, I'm a little man. It's all your fault. Thank you for watching, guys. We'll continue on with the 100 Days of Tutoring tomorrow.
Yeah, and won't be so delayed.
What time tomorrow? I don't know, man. Whenever I feel like it. I don't get paid for this shit, so I ain't gotta be here on time. You know what I mean? I only have a time when they give me a paycheck at the end of 2 weeks. That's the only times. But thank you for watching. Don't forget to join our Facebook group, Code Tech and Caffeine. The link is in the description. And support me on Patreon if you'd like. Try to help us get to that 4K monitor sooner and the 4K webcam as well. And maybe do some VR gaming once we get there. But I'll see you guys next time.
Go long and prosper.